I got married at a very young age. I was married probably 21, 22, married for 4 to 5 years. I moved to a very different country, Netherlands. Okay. I was married to a Dutch Indian. I was a victim of domestic violence.
Oh, that
Bhangra?
Dhoti and that
But Bhangra
thing
is what comes to your mind, right?
No. What's that thing where they wear this dhoti and they dance with that thing in their hand?
That is Malwa Gidda.
Yeah, Gidda, yeah.
Gidda.
That comes to my mind.
So people think about either Gidda or they think about Bhangra.
Yes.
Okay. So but Bhangra is actually the most recent dance forms of Punjab. It's a mix of all the other old folk dance forms of Punjab.
Okay. In today's podcast, we had a very fierce personality. Her name's Rajveer Kaur. We discussed a lot of different topics, got to learn a lot of new things. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. We touched upon topics like PR, that is her work experiences, what all she learned in her previous work life, and also touched upon few new terms that we've got to learn. One of them being influencer seeding, that's how she likes to call it, and also about experiential brand strategy management. I hope you like this content, and please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to our podcast channel. Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome back to another podcast of ours. Today we have a very flamboyant personality who does a lot of good work, who was just educating me on how we should give back to the society, like what I'm doing with this podcast. So thank you so much for coming, Rajveer.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So you do a lot of work, a lot of stuff which is alien to me. Yeah. I just have heard those terms. So I'll just leave it to you to explain who you are and what your body of work is, and then we'll get into it further from there.
You have already taken my name. I'm Rajveer Kaur, and I'm born and brought up in Hyderabad, which is very difficult for a lot of people to accept. The moment they hear my name, Rajveer, first thing, they can't accept the fact that my name sounds like a boy's name.
Okay. That didn't
they're like, Rajveer
mind.
is a boy's name. And I'm like, no, I'm a Sikh. So, in Sikhism, the names are basically unisex.
Yes.
So Rajveer basis, the reason why I'm talking about this is it's very important for me, this topic. Rajveer means warrior of a kingdom, right?
Okay.
So a warrior of a kingdom can be a male or a female.
Yeah.
Right? So why does it surprise people that Rajveer should only be a male's name, right? So that's something that I have to encounter every day, but that's for a different time. Maybe we can do a podcast
on that
separately.
Just Kaur is for women and Singh is for guys, right?
Yes. Kaur means a princess or a sherni, a lioness. And Singh is a lion or a sher.
Okay.
So that's how it's Rajveer Kaur. Born and brought up here in Hyderabad, but my roots are in Punjab. And I run a company called Nomad Consultancy. Yes. But I'm trying to sort of transform the name to the Nomad Discoveries.
Because Nomad.
Okay. Because most of my clients that I work with, I feel, I kind of discover them, and then we bring out their stories to the world.
Okay.
So the line of profession that I am in through Nomad Consultancy, we give out services like public relations. I'm a hardcore public relations professional, influencer seeding, and social media management, but it's mostly experiential social media management, right? Okay. Again, storytelling. That is my focus.
You told two very interesting topics that I don't know of. One is influencer seeding.
Yeah.
And you made sure I used that term and not something
marketing.
Else. Yes. And the second one was experiential social media management.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate?
But I think even public relations, there's a lot of misconception around that. A lot of people don't understand.
But that is a more so heard of, and that is a bigger topic. We can get into that later. So first, explain these two things to me, please.
So when I say experiential social media management, so the basic idea that most of the agencies have, or what they do, is just posting pictures and writing a caption for the client, right?
True.
And for me, when I say experiential social media marketing, the content that is created, content is the king for me.
Yeah.
So the way we create the content is completely dependent on the kind of story we're trying to tell of the client, right? So there's a lot of research, there's a lot of storytelling. So for me, when I say experiential marketing, right from the way we shoot our content for the client, the way we are letting out the story of a client, that makes it very experiential. So when you go on a social media platform of my client, it's an experience itself. So
basically the profile is speaking to you.
Absolutely. We humanize it. You will never see artworks on my social media's platform.
Basically
my,
static
clients,
posts.
Yes.
Yeah,
There'll be
I'm
no
against
static
that.
posts. There will be static posts, but the post itself is like kind of telling you a story. Like it's not boring. And the captions, there's a lot of thought process that's gone into a caption. It has to relate to the audience. So there's a value add basically. So it's an experience. Like when you go to a hotel, right from the word go, right from the time you enter, the security checking you, to giving the key to the valet, to entering into the lobby and the way you're treated there. It's an experience, right? So similarly, when you reach to a social media platform of my client, it's an experience right from the word go. From the content that you see, to the caption that you read, to the stories that you see, it's an experience. It's not posted just for the heck of posting, because Instagram algorithm expects you to post probably twice in a day. No. If we don't have a content for that day, we do not push ourselves or force ourselves to sort of post,
So quality over quantity.
Yeah, and there's a lot of BTS, we like to show what's happening behind the scenes, like in the kitchen probably, if I have a F&B client, or what our chefs are engaged in right now, or what's happening right now at the restaurant, or what are we cooking, or what are new orders. So things like that, So
those kind of things, they also help not just the brand to communicate with the consumers, but also they can be a part of the team building exercise, right?
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, like a lot of chefs, they like to engage
They
in
want to
this.
talk, yes.
Yeah, and it's so nice to bring everyone together. They get really excited when we tell them, share your stories or share what's happening right now. So they also very proactively get involved in it, and they feel like they are part of it. It's not happening just for the heck of. So I feel a lot of social media platforms, which are for different clients, not just clients, but different brands, there is no storytelling.
Yeah.
And so Nomad Consultancy is a company that is completely focused on storytelling. That's it. So even my public relations, when it comes to public relations, right, the kind of campaigns that we do for our clients, the kind of events that I curate, there's a lot of strategy. There's a tactical approach. I don't do it just for the heck of doing it because it's a tick mark. Oh, I told my client that I have to do one campaign this month, so I just have to kind of do some event. But that event has to stitch with my client's story beautifully. That has to fit in, and it has to add value to my client as well as to the invitees who are coming in and attending that event.
So when you do this kind of work, don't you feel like the brand recall is automatically done?
100%.
You don't need to separately focus on that.
Yeah, that's what I always say. And you have to have patience. When you're investing in PR, right, you have to have patience.
Yes.
And the kind of word of mouth that starts spreading, it's so beautiful. And everything starts aligning then for the brand. You are literally positioning and building a brand in a very organic manner.
Yes.
And that
goes a longer way.
100%.
Like, for example, these ads that we used to see in our childhood, be it the biscuit ad or cold drink ads. If we just play that tune now, you will remember.
100%. So a lot of focus is, so I cannot take up a client unless and until I relate to them or I vibe with them. So I always say that I need to know my client like the back of my hand, basically. If I don't know them, then I will never be able to do justice to the brand. And I'm very particular about who I work with, the clients that I take on board. And influencer seeding, sorry, I missed that.
Yes.
I hate calling it influencer marketing because I just feel that, you're kind of taking...
So just for my understanding, I might sound dumb. Influencer marketing, what do you mean? To market the influencer or to use influencers to market the brand?
You collaborate with influencers to sort of promote your brand. Now, when I say influencer seeding, it's like when you're collaborating with them, right? So you're basically seeding, how do I explain it? It's not like outright saying that they're promoting my brand, right?
Okay.
I'm giving you, what I do is basically I invite you and I say you come and experience this place. And there's never a pressure from me that you have to post.
Okay.
Unless and until you have a good experience and you genuinely like the brand or the experience that you've had, only then you talk about it. There's never a pressure from our side.
Makes sense.
Every time I've worked with an influencer, I've never forced them to post. I've never forced them to, do a reel or say this, say that. I say only talk about your experience. After your experience, if you think that it's worth sharing with your audience, only then you go ahead and talk. Otherwise, there is no pressure, zero pressure. So that is why I call it influencer seeding. It makes sense
that you call it seeding.
Yes. So marketing is like where there's a very clear expectation. That's what happens, right? But with seeding, you're saying, You come, you experience. So I'm a very experiential and a storytelling person.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of inculcate in my brands and the campaigns that I come up with. So my strategy is very experience oriented. Yes.
So coming to the kind of work that you do, it is very clear now that you stand very much apart from the other contemporaries
100%.
in the very same industry, more so because of how you perceive it in the first place.
Yeah.
And that by itself will change how you navigate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So now I'm going to ask you questions from a perspective of a person who wants to start their career into your line of work. How important is it for a person to be outgoing and not be an introvert to excel in your industry? How important is that?
Outgoing, you have to be outgoing, of course. And you have to love people.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy the process of interacting with people. Only then you will be able to, because like I said, I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
If I am not able to tell my story, how do I expect the client or the brand to share their story and further me sharing their story through my strategies, right? So you have to be outgoing. That's a must. And secondly, I also feel that you should enjoy sort of this line of work. It takes a toll on you. A lot of people think that it's very fancy and it's very glamorous.
If you have a small social battery life, you can't
survive. Like for me, I'll tell you my yesterday, for instance, I came back home at 1:30.
Yeah, I sleep early. So when I woke up, I saw your
sleep.
story and I'm like, is she going to make it today?
No, of course. But that's not my everyday schedule. But it's just that there are days when you cannot say no to a lot of things, you know. It could be work, it could be, something that requires you to network, it could be, someone who supported you in your line of work and you have to show up for them. So there's a lot of things. So
I call them the attendance events. I need to attend those just to keep relations.
And you do more than relationships. See, for me, it's very clear. If you have supported me, I will 100% support you. So that's a very clear, distinction. Like you can say, okay, attendance event, but I feel if there's no emotional connect to it, there's no point doing it also, then it's just shallow,
True.
So I do it purely because this person stood by me, was there when I needed them, for my event or for my activity. So I'm going to be there. I will show up. And I'm someone who will also, like, if you're inviting me for an event and if I like something, I'm not just going there for the heck of going. I'll also pick up your stuff. I want to support my friend. I want to show the brand that...
This is something that I tell all my friends that everyone needs to start practicing. So I have this thing, if a very close friend of mine, even he's a Punjabi.
Okay.
He has a cloud kitchen where they make desserts and stuff. I am not someone who will order things from him and just consume it for myself and expect a discount. Every person, even from my other friend circles, any event is there, I'm going to send desserts only from this guy and I'm going to pay him more than what he's going to ask. This is how you support people.
I think that's the least you can do to your friends, or people who have always supported you,
You are ready to splurge money on big brands, buying useless things just to validate yourself, but you're not okay to spend a small fraction of it to support your friends. That's very shallow.
Yeah, because you have to value your friendship also, no?
True.
Yeah, and it's both way, of course. And if you're receiving that kind of love, then you might as well give it back.
Give it back, yes.
So when going back to the question that how important it is to be outgoing, I think it is important to be outgoing. You got to love people.
Yes.
Otherwise there's no point getting into this profession. And a lot of people think that it's very glamorous, but trust me, you have to dirty your hands in this industry. Really, there's a lot of things which happens in the background.
And you get to see a lot of dark side of a lot of people, right?
100%. The kind of people you're dealing with on a daily basis, and you have to become that person.
Yeah.
So that was one. So it's a strength that I have, that if whoever I'm dealing with, basis what background they come from, I become that with them. And I think it makes your life so much easier. You get your work done easily, And ego ko matlab side mein rakhne ka. Bas, I always say that. Don't carry your ego everywhere.
Yeah, I keep telling myself this.
You have to be grounded.
On some days.
Become a human, And to become a human, you have to let go of your ego. That's what I always say, And I have always tried to become the person, in the sense, if I am dealing with a printer, I will always try to think from their level.
Their perspective, yes.
Yeah, and they have... So because I do that, most of them, they go out of their way to do my things.
Yeah.
And over a decade long experience, I'm telling you, there's not even a single situation where I'm doing a firefighting and I needed somebody's support at that moment, last minute help. and they've never said no to me.
Yeah.
So it's a record that I have in my life, and that is only because I think it comes from the fact that I am kind and they are kind to me. What you give is what you get, right? True. So it's in every profession. These are just universal truths and universal laws, which if you practice,
people don't realize.
Yeah, both professionally and personally, and your work becomes so much easier and so much fun then, and you're not sitting and hating or brooding or, sort of talking crap about other people. You're just focusing on your work. And that's what I did, honestly speaking. I only focused on my work. I never cared about what others are doing because there's enough for everyone.
You don't have enough time if you're doing good work and you're focused on delivering the best, then you are more occupied.
And there's enough for everyone, Muddassir. There's enough for everyone.
This is what I tell everyone.
You have to be self-assured. That's it. If you believe in your craft, if you believe that, I'm talented, if you believe that what I bring to the table is unique, and I know that I will be able to deliver results, then you will 100%.
Simple as that. You alone, how much work can you do?
Sorry?
You alone, how much work can you do?
Yeah. You have to delegate.
I give you 100 clients. Will you be able to handle them?
100%.
No.
100%. Yeah.
So you deal less, but give the best.
That's what is my my philosophy when it comes to my company. I take very limited clients. I'm constantly on a filtration mode, which we were talking about earlier. I'm very particular about who I work with. They have to match my vibe. I have to match their vibe. And if it hits me at the right spot, then I'm like, let's go for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question, which I have been wanting to ask a lot of people with regards to who do PR or marketing or any such thing. I've always wanted to ask them this question, that you help the brand grow, you do PR for that brand and stuff like that, right? How do you guys manage to market yourself and get work, and how do you guys manage to PR yourself? Sorry to cut you off, because a lot of big brands, they work with these big agencies, right?
Yeah.
You hear about it and then you're like, okay, so this big place is actually hiring these people. So let me go look at their page. You go to their page, there's nothing there on their page. So how do they get work?
I think it's about the relationships that they've built.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so public relation itself. That's why, most of these new agencies and these new kids on the block with zero experience, when they come, I have nothing against them, but it's just that at least know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So when I ask them what is PR, none of them are able to answer what PR is.
Yeah.
So the problem is public relations itself means maintaining relationships with different publics. Yes. Now, what are your publics? Your public could be your media, your target audience, your stakeholders. So even your printer is your public, for instance, your agencies are your public. Like when I was working, so I'm an ex-Oberoi and I'm an Oberoi Hotel. I worked with them, and then I'm an ex-Taj. So my last assignment was with Taj Lands in Mumbai as a director of PR.
Okay.
So now when I'm working as a director of PR for a certain brand, and that brand comes with a lot of credibility, you are dealing with different agencies. True. Right? You're dealing with a social media agency, you're dealing with a graphic designing agency, you're dealing with an advertising agency, you're dealing with printers,
media.
Yeah, you're dealing with media. So you are maintaining relationships with all these people.
True.
And why these brands, why these big PR agencies themselves have become a brand, it's also because of the kind of work they've done, probably, maybe they have managed to sort of bag big collaborations, they have managed to get their clients bigger faces,
True.
maybe through their PR. So there is a paid media and there's earned media, right? So maybe through earned media, purely because of their relationship with that particular person, they managed to kind of get them that activity or that campaign. So like, for instance, I have sometimes just purely because of my relationship with a personality, I would say a celebrity, or maybe with influencers, I share a beautiful relationship with them. And when I recommend, why don't you do a barter deal with this brand? Otherwise,
they won't think twice. They don't.
Yeah. And I've had that, trust me. And that is why I feel like, I always give importance to relationship. So even when I go out there to network, I'm never going out there with an intention of just meeting people because, just thinking that, oh my God, how is this person going to help me? Yeah. Or what's in it for me? No, I am genuinely forging and nurturing relationships.
True.
Otherwise, even with media, like I know in Hyderabad, touch wood, I'm so blessed. Even in Bombay, when I worked there, because I was with Taj Lands, and the kind of relationships that I have cultivated and nurtured further, they all, whenever I need, just one message, one email, and they're there for me.
Yes.
It's purely because of the relationship that I maintain. And it's an organic and a natural relationship. It's not something that I'm faking just for the heck of it. So I am that kind of person.
One similar incident was I was training a Tollywood celebrity. And that celebrity also would play tennis with my dad. So out of that respect and all, when he came to train with me, I didn't charge him for a couple of months.
Yeah.
He would be like, okay, I'm going to pay, tell me. I didn't say anything. I'm like, you deal with that with my dad. Don't come to me with the monetary discussion and all. And then eventually there was this one family friends, they were starting a restaurant and they told, can you invite him? Generally they charge for all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's called him, Anna, how are you? We caught up after a long time. And he's like, can you please come down for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Didn't charge a single penny. He came for free.
Absolutely.
Spent time with everyone, sat there for an hour or so and he left.
It's because of the kind of energy you're putting into it, the relationship that you're building, And, I feel that anything that you do, if you're faking it, it will never get you genuine results.
No, it will show up at some point. It
100%. So I'm a very authentic person, I feel. And that's what reflects in my work also, you know. And the kind of people I'm surrounded with are also very authentic. And they kind of show me that mirror every time. And that is when I realize that, I am on the right track. So far, so good. I'm loving what I'm doing. Yeah.
When it comes to finding work, you've told you filter and all of that.
Yeah.
I understand that because I do the same.
Yeah.
Now, after you get the client, you need a team to get the work done, right? Now, how do you find genuine people to work with?
After my last assignment with Taj Lands End, I quit in 2017. I started freelancing. I first actually traveled for 3 months. I didn't do anything. I was like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sort of clear that headspace, and want to understand where I'm headed, what I'm doing. And I was just randomly traveling, doing nothing. And all of a sudden I got an opportunity and I took it up. Then one thing led to another. The word started spreading and other clients started approaching me. And what happened was, obviously, when the workloads increases and then you realize that you need other people to come on board. One wise decision that I took was to only work with freelancers.
Okay.
So I work with a lot of freelancers and they've been working with me since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I also feel that what you give is what you get. So probably I was giving that kind of energy that I only want to work with, genuine people. So I'm not saying that I didn't attract non-genuine people, but I did.
Exactly.
I did, but I knew how to filter them. I knew how to eliminate them. But that you learn only once you experience, right? Like once you come in contact with them. Yeah. But you just know, Muddassir. I mean, there is no formula for it. But when you're interacting with those people...
Given the kind of industry you work in, you will obviously come across as people who will first come to you out of nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
They feed off your energy
100%.
and then they start feeling that they are invincible
100%.
And instead of looking up to you, they start looking at you as just another step on the ladder and they are ready to walk all over you and
they want to reach out to the media on their own. They want to speak to influencers on their own.
Yes.
But you can't help it. So at that point, what I think is that maybe I'm a source from the universe to help these people.
No, but eventually they have a downfall.
Yeah, they will. See, that's their karma. That has nothing to do with me.
Yes.
I did whatever I have to do.
But how do you firefight a situation like that?
I don't... See, at that point, you do feel bad about it. That, oh my God, I did so much for you. But then again, I always keep reminding myself that I didn't do anything. Anything that I have is not mine. It's all... I'm a very God-loving person. I don't like to call it God-fearing. So...
But do you also sometimes sit and think, if I could create all of this before they existed, after they go also I can.
100%. Yeah. I like I told you, my belief in my talent is insurmountable.
Yes.
That's it. I have many times hit the ground and then again bounced beautifully. Yes. So I call myself Phoenix.
Okay.
So I am never fearful of any situations or any circumstances in my life. I will go down, but I will 100% bounce back. And how,
Yeah.
So I am...
You learn much more when you're down there.
100%. You'll know who's your genuine friend. You learn so much about yourself. Forget about anybody else, How to deal with your own emotions and how to deal with, failure, for instance,
That's why you learn the most.
Absolutely. And
do you ever have these moments where you're just going through a big, like you're in a pit right now?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, a couple of months ago I was in that pit. I could come out of that, so this is nothing.
Yeah. I actually never compare my those pits with my previous pits. I am someone who try not to look back, but when I'm there in that dark space, right, I just tell myself that, okay, now what next? Are you going to sit here and cry? You want to cry? Let's cry. Let's spit it out. Let's do whatever you have to do to sort of let this go out of your system. Once I'm done with that process, Muddassir, I will never go there. Then it's like time for me to shine. And this has happened to me multiple times in my life. I have experienced a lot. I don't know if you've read it in my profile. I also because a lot of people also say that you always keep breaking stereotypes. I got married at a very, very young age. Okay. The reason why I'm talking about this is, again, like I said, I like to make my mess a message. I got married at a very young age. I was married probably 21, 22, married for 4 to 5 years. I moved to a very different country in Netherlands. I was married to a Dutch Indian. I was a victim of domestic violence. I want to speak about it very, very openly, and because there are a lot of women out there who probably would think that my life has stopped.
Yes.
Because I got a divorce.
Many times I feel that they are going through this, but they don't realize that they're a victim of that.
They're a victim of that, and plus, even if they decide to come out of it, they've come out of it, but then they're in such a dark pit, they don't know how to step out of it and see this brightness which is waiting for them, So I was there in that spot. I got divorced and I started afresh, literally. And I started a career only after I got divorced, literally. Even when I was married, I had probably at that point. So whenever I look back to my achievements or even to my downfalls, I just feel so proud. I have so much respect and regard for all the chapters of my life.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be this Rajveer if I wouldn't have gone through all of that, if I wouldn't have experienced any of that. So after getting divorced, I started my career from the scratch again. I moved back to India. I had a Dutch residence permit. I gave it up. I said, my father was very particular that we have to come back here. We are not staying there because some safety issues and all of that. But there, even when I was in Netherlands, I started my own brand. I was probably one of the first few people at that time who started web shops.
Web shops?
Yeah, e-commerce was still picking up.
Yeah.
Brands didn't have their websites to sell products, They just had their website where they were showcasing their products.
Catalogs, yeah.
I started selling my products. So I was the first one. So there was a person in Bombay who designed my website, and I was working with designers from across the world. And we were selling fashion accessories, which were made of semi-precious stones, very contemporary. And I was doing things there, literally. And now when I look back, the articles, the media coverage I got, people who are doing exhibitions and all now, I have done it like many years back. So I look at it and I'm like, you've been there. And I'm literally living my life backwards now,
Yeah.
And when I moved here, I started from the scratch. I started working from one brand, and then Trident Hyderabad, which is a part of the Oberoi Hotels. They got me on board. They poached me, and I opened Trident Hyderabad. I was a part of the opening team, and I was heading their marketing communication. So right from their first press release to the first fact sheet to their first post on social media, everything was done by me. So that hotel is literally like my baby. Even launching the hotel, we did a show with Tarun Tahiliani. We launched the hotel with his spring summer collection.
Okay.
So when you see all of that, while you've gone through, can I use the word shit? While you've gone through that, you also see what you've achieved.
Yes.
So this achievement is, it gives me so much joy, And also I don't do anything in my life if it doesn't bring me joy. So joy is my favorite word. I always say that. So the question that I ask is, even when I'm taking my clients on board, is is it giving me joy? Is it bringing me joy? If yes, let's do it. Let's go for it. Then मैं किसी की नहीं सुनती. फिर मुझे कोई भी आके कितना भी बोल लेना, I'm like, no, I am doing this.
So, 2 questions. I am having this problem. I sometimes forget what I had in mind, but let me ask the more important one first.
Yeah.
Is what advice would you give for women who have probably stepped out of the pit but not seen the light outside?
Yeah.
What would your advice be to them?
Yeah. I would firstly say that don't put your emotions aside. it's not just for a woman, but it's also for men. I'm telling you, sit with your emotions, understand where it's coming from, because if you keep putting them aside, it'll keep coming back to you.
Oh.
So you have to resolve it. You have to understand where it's coming from. What is the root cause? Solve that emotion, the pain that has, the trauma that you've experienced probably, in whatever you've gone through. Learn to sort of, not deal with it, but learn to heal it. See, they say that time heals everything, but I am a firm believer that it's not time that is healing everything. It's what you do with that time that heals everything. Right?
Very true. Yes.
So I can just sit and keep crying and expecting time to heal everything. Nahi hoga yaar.
Yeah.
You have to work on yourself. So most importantly, working on yourself is like my most favorite thing. And I see that a lot of people don't work on themselves, Muddassir. And that is why we keep attracting, it becomes a pattern.
Sorry to cut you off. I also feel that through this journey, a lot of people, they are first afraid of sharing, and when they share only to share. They don't want to listen or take any feedback.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel we don't even have to give them feedback. I just feel that kuch logon ko, whether it's a woman or a man, you have to just listen to the person. Maybe I just want to share it, and I do not want, because we as a society, Muddassir, we are so used to giving advice to people, and we are also not. Most of the time I'm sitting here, if you're talking and sharing something with me, maybe I'm just sitting here and preparing, मैं उसको क्या पूछूं?
Yeah.
So
I tell this thing, people have this thing. I'll say this in Hindi because I say this in Hindi to my friends. It's like, लोग बोलने के लिए सुन रहे हैं, सुनने के लिए नहीं सुन रहे हैं.
कोई नहीं, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. तो इसीलिए I think we should just let people be, let them share their stories. And I always tell everybody, share your story. Because your narrative is your narrative.
True.
No one else can take it away from you. Only you know what you've gone through, And especially you need to have a safe space. You should have a safe space. That means you need to have safe friends, right? And safe family. Yeah. And when you have that set, you're sorted. Trust me, And that is the same for professional behavior also, Professionally too, you need to have your own professional safe space.
Yes.
If that is not there, then you don't know how to navigate through things,
You'll keep firefighting your own mess all the time.
100%. So I have luckily, I'm so blessed that I have a lot of since childhood, I've only attracted women in my life, very strong women, women who have like broken stereotypes, women who have, who are fighters, who've achieved like whatnot in their lives. And I'm surrounded by such women, And so I'm glad that I have a safe space, where I can just be. And these women, they stand by me no matter what happens in my life.
So what do you call it? The Lioness Club? Or?
Yes. You said it. Because my daddy calls me Sherni since childhood, Okay. So, and मैं लड़कों को बहुत मारती थी when I was a kid. Oh. Yeah. So my dad used to like, so my cousin, okay, I'll share this because I'm very proud of the fact that my father brought me up like that. I'm not scared to, take things head on, if things don't work out. That's exactly why, because my father always told me that I'm fearless. I'm a Sherni, I can fight anything. I mean, I do get tired sometimes, I'm like, okay, nahi mujhe aaj Sherni nahi banna hai. Yeah. But then it's just inherently there now, because I'm so deeply conditioned. So my cousin, okay, I don't want to name him. He was a baby, and not baby, like he's much younger than me. And he would keep torturing my kid sister, okay. When we used to go for summer holidays to Punjab. So we come from a village in Punjab called Usmanpur, okay. It's in Nawashehar district. And my father, he keep holding my hand because I want to go and hit him.
Okay.
Yeah, beat him. And he will like, no, we'll wait. But when it comes to a spot where he sees that this guy is just not giving up, my dad will just release my hand literally and he'll say, "Jao mere sher." And मैं उसकी इतनी बजाती थी. So I remember that, when you have experience, when you have seen a father figure or a father who has so much belief in you, so much trust in you, and who tells you that, you can achieve anything, then I think nothing on this earth can sort of move you. Yeah. I wish every woman becomes that, every woman becomes fearless, and every woman is out there taking risks and doing things in their life, and achieve what they want to achieve. Yeah.
Makes complete sense. Now, second question, luckily I remember what I had to ask you. So, when you work with these people and you filter them and then you start working with them, many a times people change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
when that starts to happen, what are like the red flags that first show up and you realize, okay, now is the time to either fix the problem
Yeah.
or pull out of the problem?
I think one is if you're talking from a client perspective,
Yes.
if there's a lot of micromanaging, if there is a lot of micromanagement, I always say that it's a red flag. Brand
So
should
what do
have
you choose to do then? Do you communicate that with them or you just walk out?
You see, communication is the best way. You need to speak to the client. And if you've heard someone has badmouthed you behind your back, if it is your client, I always like to go and check with them.
Yeah.
Did you speak about me like this? You know, andar
But
rakhne
how
se acha-
often is it that they actually admit if they have done it? If they have done it.
They see also there is a thing called instinct.
Yeah.
Whether they admit it or not, you will know whether they said it or not. This I think ऐसे ही मतलब इतने like I'm going to turn 40 this year. So इतने 40 साल तो मैंने ऐसे ही नहीं waste कर दिए. Now I understand. You know, you see their body language. But apart from that, it's very important professionally to communicate everything. And chalo bad mouthing and all is a very different topic in the sense that people do. That's a human nature. But from work perspective, if they are micromanaging things constantly and also not drawing any boundaries when it comes to reaching out to you on weekends and all, I am a firm believer that you need to communicate it directly to your client.
Yes.
And I've come to a conclusion, or I've come to a point where when I sign an agreement with my client, I very clearly specify in my agreement that I work on these days and I like to have my space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because creativity comes with space.
True.
Yeah. But communication is very important. The problem is that half the time I think things become worse is because we are not talking to each other. We're not sitting or picking up a phone and calling and asking, checking. Yeah. And this has happened to me multiple times. It's not like I learned it overnight. I learned it eventually because I have
and
also...
another worst thing, sorry to cut you off, is many a times we choose to communicate via text.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest problem.
And, you kind of the way you perceive...
Exactly, the
text,
tone, the pitch, the language, everything changes on text.
And that further spoils your relationship, So it's better to just pick up a phone and call up, or... so that's... micromanaging is my biggest red flag. The moment I see that they're like ding, 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 ding everywhere, that's it. I can't work. And I know a lot of people who can't work. But now, you know what? Unfortunately... people are micromanagers. They don't want to delegate. Yeah. They don't trust other people. If you're paying me so much money, then you have to trust me, And especially if I'm able to deliver results.
The problem with them is if they are paying, then they feel like they should have complete control.
And also you are their gulam.
Yes.
Yeah. But these are the things I think I'm able to command that kind of respect or that kind of, how do I say, they're kind of not doing that to me is only because of the kind of experience that I bring on board. But I can imagine, if you're like you're just someone who's starting fresh, who's a beginner, for them it must be very difficult. They try to control you, especially if they're paying you money, then they think that, like you said, that you are in their control.
Exactly.
So that is very difficult. That is very difficult initially, but I think you have to set a tone right from the day one.
Yeah.
So this is something which I always tell everyone, even a young girl who comes to me and who says, I'm starting an agency and how should I I remember somebody who started an agency here in Hyderabad and she was very fresh and she said, the clients don't agree to, pay the amount that we sort of put forward. I say, see, one thing you have to decide whether you want them to, if you're agreeing to bring the price down. It's the onus lies in you completely,
Yeah.
You have to choose. If you think that I do not want to bring down my price, the remuneration fee that I'm charging, then no matter what, don't budge.
Yeah.
That is where the thing is that, when you're a beginner, you're so desperate for work. Then
that's the biggest problem.
And sometimes they want you to work pro bono.
Yeah.
I mean, me here, with 15 years ka experience, I'm still expected to work pro bono. So somebody will randomly call up and they say, there is this big brand and they need someone to do some creative PR campaign for them.
The moment they say all of that, it's a red flag.
So ye sab brief dene ke baad mein, but babe, they don't have a budget. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Even if Versace comes and tells me, do our event for free, I said, I'll not do it.
Yeah.
I have worked really hard to be able to. You can call me money-minded. You can call me whatever. It's my talent. I'm charging you for the talent. I'm charging you for the skill, And I have not developed it overnight. I've worked really hard for it. I've worked for years. And I've burned midnight oil, to be where I am. So pro bono is something that I advise. Even beginners, I tell them don't do it pro bono.
And also another thing, all these young kids, they do this mistake is the system and processes, they have not been set up right. Because from day one, as soon as they establish the company, they have this thing, bills, monthly overhead.
Yeah.
So in that whole thing, they start chasing clients.
100%.
Once they get the client, they don't have a system and process.
Yeah.
The client abuses them.
100%.
And then they go badmouth the client. And then from there, it's all downhill.
It's all downhill. I agree with you. SOPs are very important. I think for me, luckily, like I said, I'm super blessed because I've worked with the Oberoi hotels. Oberoi is very high on SOPs.
Yeah.
Everything that they do. For every department, every function, there is an SOP.
Which is why they're able to delegate work.
Yes. And that is why I learned. So for me, SOPs like sort of were instilled into me because of the Oberoi hotels. So I always am, even with my company, I have very clear set of rules, how I work, how I deliver. And probably that's where you have clarity and your client will have clarity.
Yeah. And that's where that whole change in persona is out of the window.
Yeah, 100%. Then you end up having a good, healthy relationship, I feel. If things are communicated clearly and if you have clear SOPs. And if your timings, in terms of what are your timelines in delivering your work, that is also very important. And most of the people, they don't. Like I said, they're just doing things just for the heck of doing.
Yeah.
There is no warmth also in the way they're delivering.
That's
I feel
because they don't look at your work as a service. They look at it as, kuch bhi hai for me to get a greater good out of it.
Yeah. Even the one who's providing the service also, not just the one who's receiving it, but even the one who's providing service.
Quick money,
there is
easy
no,
money.
which I see a lot, and I feel bad for the brands also, when I see that things are being done just for the heck of being done, because I have to show this report that I have posted these many posts. I have to show this report that I've invited these many people. But where are the results? Yeah. So there is no result oriented or result based strategy.
Yeah.
So none of them have strategies. You ask, I'm telling you, you speak to anybody who's probably running a PR agency now, some young kid or even the well-established ones, just ask them, what's your strategy for this brand?
They won't talk about strategy. They talk about, let's call this person, let's do that.
Why are you calling
It's all, hawa mein baat, on paper, there's nothing.
So I believe in strategy and tactical approach, which I learned when I was in Taj.
Yeah.
So for me, these two hotel brands have played such an important role, while you're struggling, while you're having a difficult time, while you're also seeing office politics and all of that, you're also taking so much learning from that. And if you're not learning, then I feel bad for you, that you've been given like so many opportunities on a platter and you didn't make the most of it, So I've learned a lot. And I am lucky. I'm someone, so I wanted to join London College of Communications when I was going through my divorce, when I was in Amsterdam. And it didn't happen because my dad wanted me to come back. And I'm so blessed, Muddassir. The moment I came back, because I had my own company, I started it from scratch in Netherlands. This local brand in Hyderabad, Fusion Hospitality Private Limited, they hired me as their Marcom head. So Fusion 9, Delhi 9 and all. So at that point, this was in 2011, I started with them. Then tried didn't happen. Yeah, so from there, my journey was like it was never looking back from there on. And because of that experience, I think it instilled so much confidence in me that I could decide that now, and I have always had that entrepreneur in me because my dad's a businessman.
So,
and I am someone who cannot take orders. I have authority issues, clear, like always. Even if traffic police ask me to stop, I'm like, sorry, who are you? But I have to I have to. Yeah.
Nice. So now that we're done with the mainstream work of yours, let's get to your pet project.
Oh yes, my baby.
Yes, tell us about that.
It's called the Project Punjab. It has taken me a lot of time. It still has to come into being. Shooting and all is done. The reason why it's called the Project Punjab is because we have. So when you think about Punjab and Punjab's folk dance forms, what comes to your mind? Punjab's folk dance form. When I say
you say Punjab, I start imagining food. It's very difficult for me.
But when you think of Punjabi dance, what is it that comes to your mind?
That
Bhangra?
Dhoti and that
but Bhangra
thing
is what comes to your mind, right?
No. What's that thing where they wear this dhoti and they dance with that thing in their hand?
That is Malwai Gidda.
Gidda, that
Gidda.
comes to my mind.
So people think about either Gidda or they think about Pangra.
Yes.
Okay. So but Gidda, Pangra is actually the most recent dance forms of Punjab. It's a mix of all the other old folk dance forms of Punjab.
Okay.
So with Project Punjab, what I tried to do is I went through the length and breadth of Punjab to meet different people who are trying to preserve and who are trying to sort of safeguard these old dance forms. So Bhangra is actually an amalgamation of different dance forms, which comes from both East and West Punjab.
Okay.
Like from Pakistan Punjab and from India Punjab, basically. So we've met people, we've interviewed them, we have covered their dances across Punjab.
The border also?
Across the border we couldn't, because at that point when we were shooting, visas were not allowed.
Okay.
So we couldn't do that. But luckily, I think I have time now. Maybe in the second part, but I need to first finish the first part. It's finished. I had somebody who had come on board as an editor, who was a cinematographer, but he got a project with Amazon and he got busy with that. So he's not able to stick to his commitment to my project.
Okay.
So I'm looking for someone to edit. I'm speaking to a few people if I find, and also because of pandemic, we got delayed.
Okay.
We finished shooting in 2019 and the last leg was still pending. So we went in 2019, I think October we finished like the last part. But now the editing part is pending. So and then वो जब तक वो शुरू होना था 2020 में pandemic आ गया.
Okay.
Lockdown
so
शुरू हो गया.
Basically bringing the essence of Punjab and its
folk dance forms
to the mainstream now.
To the mainstream, yes. Okay. So hopefully, inshallah, like I don't want to like mention the names. I mean, a few platforms have shown interest.
Okay.
So if it works out, then I'll probably give it to them and they will edit it for us. So
amazing.
So fingers crossed.
So, but what's the end goal with that? What
end
are you
goal is
to achieve?
I want to raise awareness. I don't want the next generation to not know what are the old dance forms of Punjab or how they looked, how were they done, what were the outfits, because every dance form had a very different...
But do you feel like with this whole Punjabi rap thing, that whole essence is dying slowly?
No. It is still there. In fact, I think it's come back with vengeance now. With the rapping, the kind of competitions which are happening in Punjab right now, it's unbelievable,
But it has to come to the mainstream now.
It is, in Punjab, not that much, but it has gone to Canada, it has gone to UK. We have these big, how do I say, Bhangra dance classes and all, the youth festivals and all, where so much so that, you've seen Diljit in Coachella, come on. Yes. You had only Bhangra dancers in the background,
And he himself wore that attire.
He wore the outfit that we wear. So so that's my end goal is to raise awareness. It's like a ready reckoner, for people to go back to when they think about Punjab's folk dance forms. I also learned while researching, one of my friends, he's written a book, not a friend, he's an acquaintance. He's written a book where he actually spoke about different folk dance forms from East and West Punjab. And you learn that it's not just 7 or 8 dance forms, by the way. We have 42 plus folk dance forms. Okay. Yes. So imagine, I don't know how many dance forms from those 42 are still alive. So to think that, I won't be able to see all of them, or my next generation will not be able to see all of them, is what sort of, ignited that fire and make it. I have to capture whatever I can. I have to sort of, collect them, put it make it into a ready reckoner so that, if someone wants to go and see, it's there.
Yeah.
So it has been, actually it was an exhilarating experience, just to do the research, to meet people, to speak to them.
I'm sure.
To interview, you learn so much, it's unbelievable. The passion,
True.
Yeah. And there are a lot of families who come from, so they moved from East Punjab and they were probably the first ones who brought a certain dance form to this side of Punjab. And they're still there.
Documented that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, nice. Noor Zora, who's... he is very famous. He becomes a woman and then he performs and very, very popular. In fact, Abu Jani, Sandeep Khosla, they did a campaign with them. But I had shot with them way before. But my film's still not out.
You can still use that to market
Of course. But still, I'm just saying that I did my research way before them.
Yeah.
And just because I fell short of an editor, and it costs you a lot of money. And it's a self-funded project, right? So... let's see.
I understand the pain.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we wrap this up, one question that I ask everyone is, what is your learning or takeaway from this entire process of, coming onto the podcast?
What is my learning?
Or some emotion, some feeling, anything that you want to take back
got
with you?
really excited, honestly speaking, Muddassir. I mentioned this to you too, you know, just the fact that when I saw the videos and the references that you shared, the quality. For me, quality is very important. So the quality of the podcast and what you're bringing to the people, it is commendable. We need that. You know, we are in a world where we are constantly in that doom scrolling mode, and you are only consuming. Again, I'm going to use the word shitty content or the so-called cringe content. I think this is a breath of fresh air. So I'm really, really glad that you're doing this. And I'm glad that you actually thought that I could add any value to people who are watching.
Oh, no, that's...
And I hope if one person gets inspired by seeing your podcast, not just mine, but other people you've invited here, and also listening to you, because you also have a lot of value to add, you know, with what you're doing from work perspective. So it's just that, you know, if all of us come together and are able to share our stories, I mean, this is also sharing story, literally, you know. If you are sharing stories and if it's adding value to someone's life, I think you're doing a commendable job.
Thank you.
Thank absolutely. You. So I'm glad and I'm very, very happy. I'm excited, and plus the way you both, you know, Salman including, you know, it's just like you come back home. You know, it didn't feel like I've gone to some weird place, you know, where I don't know anybody. Oh my God, what to expect? But this is good. Very good. Good experience.
Thank you so much. And guys, if you like today's video and you feel it can add value to any of your friends.
So if you like what you saw today, and if you think that this will add value to someone's life, please like and share, and also follow projectyou. Thank you. Is that okay? Or should I say again?